Hi, I'm Scott Flowers with Cloud Ninjas. Today we're here to continue our series on the Dell PowerEdge R330 server. In this video we're going to specifically focus on hard drives and solid state drives. Let's get going. Well, hey, thanks for stopping by today to learn a little bit more about the Dell PowerEdge R330 server. Do us a favor, if you find anything in this video useful, click that like and smash that subscribe. All right, well, let's hop in. This video, as we discussed, is going to be specifically focused on drives. So we're going to go over the different types, the different speeds for those types. We're going to compare them as a whole as far as the different sizes as well. Then at the end of the video, we're actually going to install them, run Dell Diag to show you how you can actually test them. And then we're going to use another tool called HD Sentinel to show you how to test it for power on hours and just health scores as a secondary test outside of just Dell Diagnostics. Okay, so let's hop into just the general specs and the different types. So it takes three types of drives. That's going to be SAS, SATA, and solid state drives, right? And solid state drives take both SAS and SATA within that category, but as a whole, SAS, SATA, and solid state drives. So for SAS, you're going to get 10K and 15K. For SATA, you're going to get 7.2K, and for the SSDs, you're going to get 6 gigabit per second and 12 gigabit per second. I guess technically you could throw in 3 gigabit too if you wanted. So, but those are going to be the speeds as a whole. One thing I do want to note with the SAS, 15K in particular, the wheel bearings or the ball wheel bearings will wear out. I mean, you think about it, it's rotating 15,000 times a minute, and you have a life cycle of some of these running 3 to 5 years. They will wear out. Dell will give you predictive analysis, which is one of the reasons we tell people to run Dell Diagnostics, because it'll tell you, especially for the SAS drives, if you have a good one or a bad one. So that's just something to note going into it if you are using, especially used SAS drives. And that is one thing that I personally like, new drives as a whole. But I know a lot of people do like to get the bargains for used hard drives. So it's one of the things I like to say to just watch out for. So now let's hop into the different sizes. It depends on which type of machine you have, right? There's two different types. There's the 4-bay large form factor and the 8-bay small form factor. With the large form factor, the general idea is to be able to stuff larger drives at a cheaper cost. So your sizes are going to be a little bit higher as a whole, or really a lot higher as a whole. So what Dell's spec sheet is going to tell you is that the max for SATA is 16 terabytes, the max for SAS is 14 terabytes, and the max for the SSDs is 7.68. We've confirmed that, yeah, the SSDs is 7.68 terabytes. I wouldn't be surprised if someone says that they can actually put in something higher, and if you do, drop a comment down below. And we've confirmed 18 and 18 on the SAS and SATA. And again, if you've put in something higher, drop it in the comments below. We'd love to hear that, okay? Now, on the 2.5-inch side, it's a much lower capacities overall. You're going to be looking at 2.4 for SAS, 2 terabytes for SATA, and 7.68 for the SSDs, and we have confirmed that as well. Again, I wouldn't be surprised if someone has put in something larger, but that is generally what you're looking at as a whole. And the general idea for me, if I'm buying the 8-bay, is because I want to put SSDs in it in the first place. So that's the general advantage. And if you want the large form factor, then you can just stuff in higher drives for storage capacity. So, all right, now that we know a little bit more about the drives, let's hop in, install them, and then we'll run a couple of different tests. Let's get going. All right, so we're going to go ahead and show you how to install one of these right now, or how to remove a bad one for that matter, or if you're just upgrading as a whole, how to take one out. It's a really easy installation because it's hot swapped, which means that you can just simply pop it and pull it out. Very easy, very nice, very simple. So let's say I'm taking this one out. I'm going to put it to the side. I brought two options up here. So we have another 3.5-inch that we can, that's just a large SATA drive that we can put in to replace it, or we have, this is a Samsung Evo drive. We also have, new enterprise drives that we have different options in our store, but this is just a converter where you can take a 2.5-inch drive and put it into a 3.5-inch slot. So this is also an option that you can get this adapter or this converter on our store. So simply we're just going to push the button and we're going to just slide it in, and when you slide it in, it'll just close right up. I mean, it's a very, very easy install as a whole. Again, just slides in and out. So again, easy installation, one of the quickest ones that we can show you. So now what we'll do is we'll show you how to actually test this with Dell Diagnostics and HD Sentinel. Let's get going.
Hey guys, it's Ben with Cloud Ninjas, and today I'm going to be showing you how to test your hard drives with Dell Diagnostics. And technically it's going to cover more than just hard drives. It'll test your whole system and other components such as your CPUs, your memory, your NIC, the fans, video cards, and much more. But like I said, you can also test your hard drives with this, and it's actually a pretty good way to test them, and it's a great way to see if there's issues with those drives. So let's go ahead and get started. So what you want to go ahead and do is boot up your server, and during post you want to go ahead and press F10 so you can enter the lifecycle controller. Once you're in the lifecycle controller, you want to navigate to the Hardware Diagnostics tab on the left side, and then you want to press Run Hardware Diagnostics. And you may get a little warning screen, but you just want to go ahead and press yes. And it'll take a little bit of a second to load, but this will load us into Dell Diagnostics. So immediately whenever we load into Dell Diagnostics, there's a lot of information that pops up. As you can see on the left-hand side of the screen, it shows everything that's going to be tested. On the right-hand side of the screen, there's lots of information about the test itself. You can also navigate to the results and different configurations and also the event log. One thing I do want to mention about Dell Diagnostics is that some of you out there, when trying to run the hardware diagnostics, you may get an issue. Or you may get a warning about the firmware not being supported or the onboard diagnostics not being supported. And in that case, you want to go ahead and you can either do this in Lifecycle Controller itself, or you can do it in iDRAC, but you just want to go ahead and update that firmware. And we actually have a video later on in the series that covers mass updates. And one of the things that's in those updates is the onboard diagnostics firmware. So stay tuned for that, and that'll give you all that information you need. And like I said, you can also do this through iDRAC as well. So other than that, there's not really much to say about these tests. You just kind of let it run, and this can take a while. It can take, maybe a low end of 20 minutes up to maybe even an hour, especially if you have more memory in your system. It's going to take a while to test all of that. The more drives you have, that might add some time to it. So it really just depends on your system's configuration. But we're going to go ahead and fast forward through this. Like I said, pretty straightforward. If it has any issues, it'll show you that test failed. But if it has a check next to the test, like it does on the left-hand side for all of our items here, then that means the test was successful and there's no need to worry about it. So like I said, we're just going to go ahead and fast forward. All right, so we have finally reached the end of our test. And at the end of the test, we can go to the results tab that's in the middle of the screen, and we can go ahead and scroll through all the different messages. You can also view the event log, so that's pretty helpful. But if you go to the results, you can see a more in-depth information about the test that you just ran. So there's something very specific. It's a great place to look. But overall, that's Dell Diagnostics. Pretty easy, pretty straightforward. It's easy to access. Like I said, you may have that one issue where you may have to update the onboard diagnostics firmware. But other than that, once you do that, you shouldn't have any issues. All you got to do is navigate to the hardware diagnostics and just let the test run. You can let these run and then just go off, do something else, and come back 10, 20 minutes later. And it's a pretty easy way to, one, test all of the drives in your system and make sure they're properly functioning. But it's also a great way to test all of the other components in your system. So now I'm going to go ahead and show you guys HD Sentinel. Alrighty guys, so I have HD Sentinel pulled up right now, and as you can see, we currently have 2 drives plugged in. We have this installed into a storage array where we like to plug in multiple drives at a time so we can test those drives. HD Sentinel is an awesome tool because you can see things like the power on hours, which is great, especially when you're buying used equipment. You can see how long that drive has, been in use. And especially if you want to use this for a big enterprise system, you don't want to be using drives that have been, heavily used, because then you have a higher risk of drive failure. And that's one of the reasons why HD Sentinel is such a cool tool. But as you can see, we can just go ahead and plug a drive into the array, and it'll automatically populate within the software. Like I said, lots of information. It'll give you health scores of the drives. As you can see, the 2 we have up top, they have a 100% health score, while the one at the bottom has a 99%, so all pretty good. When it comes to this drive's power on time, it has over 2,000 days. So this is probably something we would not use, as it is, has a couple years of use. But that's the beauty of this tool. You can see this type of information, and then you can decide on whether this is a drive that you want to use in your data center, in a enterprise system. So I hope you guys found this video useful, and if you did, go ahead, smash the subscribe and leave a like. If you're interested in purchasing a custom built server, or you're looking to buy some drives, we do have plenty of those in stock, so you can go reach out to us at sales@cloudninjas.com, sales@cloudninjas.com. Anyways guys, thank you for stopping by.